Okay, so the world of football can agree that Erling Haaland last season was the best season we've ever seen from a Premier League striker. But what if I told you there was a player who had an even better season as a striker but has almost become forgotten to time? I'm talking about Didier Drogba. The Chelsea legend is remembered less for being a prolific scorer and more for being a scorer of important goals. However, in the 2009-10 season, he was a man on a mission. I've ran the numbers and did the maths to see just how close he got to Haaland's output, and the numbers that I found will shock you. Before we get into the comparison, I just need to give some context on just how insane Haaland's goal-scoring ability was last season. Haaland scored 36 goals in 35 games last season. He absolutely shattered the Premier League record of 32 goals in a season, set by Mo Salah. The Premier League in its early days used to have a 42-game season, as opposed to the current 38-game format. So it's also impressive to note he would also have held the record for most goals in a 42-game season with his output. His ability to score goals at a scary rate was quite widely predicted, but it is worth mentioning that he did have vocal detractors before the season had even started who questioned his ability at this level.
Well, if he scores 15, it would be a really good season for him. Yeah.
He was crucial in firing Man City to just the second treble of the Premier League era. However, for the sakes of today's argument, we are focusing purely on Premier League output. In the 2009-10 season, Didier Drogba fired Chelsea to a Premier League title. His 29 goals saw him also claim the Golden Boot. 29 goals is an incredible final tally, but the further context I'm about to share makes this achievement even more incredible. Drogba only played 32 games this season, missing a month due to the AFCON tournament hosted in January 2010. The key additional context and the stat that inspired me to make this video is that Drogba was not Chelsea's designated penalty taker. He did score one penalty this season, but there were an additional 10 penalties scored by Chelsea that season that Didier did not take. It's time to do the maths and decide who had a better output. It's worth noting that this is purely hypothetical. We can only speculate on what these two strikers would have scored if they played the full 38 games available to them. From a purely objective standpoint, Haaland obviously scored more goals. But let's now take a look at this from a more subjective standpoint. First up, let's look at Haaland. If he played 38 games and scored at his rate of 1.03 goals per game, he would have ended the season with 39 goals. Haaland was Man City's primary penalty taker, grabbing 7 from penalties out of the 9 that City made. If we say that hypothetically he took all penalties and added the 2 that were scored from other players, he would have ended the season with a total of 41 goals. A truly insane final total. Next up, let's do the same calculations for Didier Drogba. If he scored at his rate of 0.91 goals per game across a 38-game season, he would end the campaign with 35 goals. A great tally, but still one short of Haaland's real-life final tally. However, we have to remember, Drogba was not Chelsea's penalty taker. If he was the penalty taker and scored the 10 penalties that other players in the squad scored that season, his total would then sit at 45, eclipsing Haaland's total of 41 using these stats. Finally, I want to look at the two players' final assist totals, as this argument makes Drogba's final tally even more impressive. Haaland ended the season with 8 assists, a very respectable total. Drogba ended the season with 10 assists, another great total for a striker. If we apply their assist per game total to a full 38-game season, then Haaland would get an extra assist and end the season with 9. Drogba would end the season with 12. A great final tally for a striker that would have already scored a record amount. Ultimately, comparing two players from two different generations is only a bit of hypothetical fun. Haaland does have a rival playing currently, however, in Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe is currently at PSG, but is looking for a move, and the Premier League might just be his next destination. To find out more about Kylian Mbappe's future, click the video on screen now.